People are now weighing in on President Biden's decision to exit the race for the White House, and that includes Democratic chairs here in East Texas. KLTV7's Michael Richardson has new reaction.
Democrats around the country are seeking to unite after President Biden's exit from the race for the White House. One way, expressing respect for Biden's decision.
I'm really impressed at the moment. He's willing to sacrifice his own ego and his own running and say, you know, this is what's best for America.
In a statement to KLTV, Nacogdoches County Democratic Chair Roger McNally said in part that the County Democratic Party will actively support the National Party nominees as we work together for the American people to defeat Trump in November. Vice President Kamala Harris has already earned endorsements from several politicians who at one time were speculated to run against her, including Governors Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro, and Andy Beshear. Panola County Democratic Chair John Foster views Harris's experience as a positive.
I think it's kind of interesting that now the Democrats can portray this rate as the prosecutor against the felon.
Republicans have already begun criticizing Democrats for what they view as a circumvention of democracy, ignoring what primary voters casted their ballots on. They say since President Biden received roughly 14 million votes in the primary, delegates shouldn't simply be casting their votes for someone else. Foster disagrees.
I don't understand that criticism at all, that they are criticizing the process of replacing a nominee who stepped down from the nomination.
Michael Richardson, KLTV7 News.
Van Zandt County Democratic Chair Delana Sims also issuing a statement saying in part the Van Zandt County Democrats respect and trust President Biden's decision to step aside and pass the torch to a younger generation.